Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome all of you on behalf of the Hungarian Ministry of Energy. My name is Dr. Barbara Botos. I am the Hungarian Ambassador at Large for Climate Change. Let me just share with you a few details in the framework of the multilateral assessment of Hungary. Regarding the climatic conditions of my country, we have continental climate, which is characterized as temperate with cold, humid winters and warm summers with low overall humidity levels. The capital is Budapest with 1.7 million inhabitants, and the total area of the country is 93,033 square kilometers. Most of Hungary is agricultural land, 57.4%, 20.7% is forest, 0.9% is reed and fish pond, and 20.7% is uncultivated land. Hungary is mostly flat terrain with some hills and low mountains. The total population of my country is 9.6 million. This data comes from 2022, and there is a definite aging process in the Hungarian society stemming from decreased childbirths and marriages. Regarding the economy, we have market economy with a highly internationalized and export-oriented business sector and stable macroeconomic situation. Hungary joined the EU in 2004, and the GDP per capita in purchasing power standards was more than 76% of the EU 27 average in 2022. Hungary is in the Carpathian Basin, and this region is warming faster above the global average. The national average rise since the beginning of the last century is 1.23 Celsius degrees, and this has an accelerating trend since 1980. The rising extremes in the form of heat waves, precipitation patterns, and there is a trend of further increase in average temperature of up to 3 to 4 Celsius degrees, with a significant decrease in heat waves. 2023 was the warmest year since 1901, and 2024 is expected to be record-breaking. The summer extremes of 2024 were characterized by the hottest summer on record, the hottest July, the second hottest August since 1901, and the highest daily maximum of 41.6 Celsius degrees with 14 hot days and 18 tropical nights. There was severe drought in half of the country on the 11th of August, but at the same time there were severe weather events. There were several hailstorms, and there was a flood in September caused by Cyclone Boris, which was a significant event causing flooding and fatalities across Central Europe. In 7 days, the precipitation between the 11th and 17th of September was above 400 millimeters, which was the highest ever. If we have a look at the changes in the climate parameters, the change in cloud cover and global radiation might mean increase in the use of solar energy. But temperature change, like the emergence of new pathogens, can impact agriculture, but also decrease in the energy demand for heating during winter, mainly decrease in the use of natural gas, and at the same time increase in electricity demand for cooling in the summer, and also increase in process and cooling water demand will pose a significant challenge for several sectors. The change in precipitations, like the changes in river discharge and the increase in drought vulnerability and the increase in storm damage will also have impact on several sectors. And let's not talk about heat waves, because excess mortality in vulnerable groups, health problems are the effects of the more and more frequent heat waves in Hungary. The European Green Deal is a strategic roadmap for a new set of policies and strategies. The overarching goal of the European Green Deal is achieving climate neutrality by 2050, but also preserving the environment and maintaining public health and well-being. And of course, no person will be left behind. Neither will be any place when it comes to the protection of natural assets. The European Climate Law enshrines into law the goal to become climate neutral by 2050. And this goal to reach Europe's climate neutrality is set up from the following targets. Of course, there is a legally binding target of net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, but also an emission reduction target of greenhouse gases of 55 degrees by 2030s. When it comes to Hungary, if we compare the emissions of 2022 to the baseline of 1990, it's minus 37%. And we can also see a trend of decoupling. While the GDP of the country was increasing with the constant intake in energy, the greenhouse gas emissions were decreasing. If we have a look at the biggest sector of emission, that's definitely energy, and then the industrial sector, and then agriculture and waste. The biggest greenhouse gas in ratio to the rest of the others is CO2, and then after methane, nitrous oxides and F gases. And if we have a look at the preliminary estimates for 2023, the estimates indicate significant emission reduction of 43%, which compared to the previous year of 2022 is a 9% decrease. Why was it? Because of the HDDs, the heating degree days, decreased by 9%. The residential gas use increased by 15% because we had the warmest year ever, and therefore total gas consumption decreased by 11%. ETS emissions decreased by 14%. The power plants were using 20% less energy, thereby decreasing greenhouse gas emissions enormously. And for the first time ever, the use of transport fuels was decreasing by 6%. So was the use of nitrogen fertilizers by 18%. So probably we are going to have the lowest ever emissions in 2023. Net zero targets cover more than 80% of global emissions, and Hungary is one of the 27 parties which enshrine it into a law to achieve a net zero target. At Glasgow, countries agreed on the need to align NDCs with long-term strategies towards net zero emissions. And next year, this will be the first round of NDCs which can provide an opportunity to align near-term targets in NDCs with longer-term goals. But Hungary has already done it. The National Clean Development Strategy is the long-term climate strategy of Hungary for 2050. Hungary targets climate neutrality by 2050, and with the help of in-depth modeling to assess the complex interlinkages between sectors, we set up a low-carbon, economy-wide and sectoral scenarios, and of course at the same time we analyze the costs and impacts on the economy. The three scenarios that we were investigating were the following: business as usual, early action, and late action. And of course we aim to implement the early action scenario. When it comes to climate finance internationally, Hungary already contributed twice to the replenishment of the Green Climate Fund. But there are also other channels for Hungary for international climate finance, like bilateral channels, in the field of which the most outstanding sectors are water technology and sustainable agricultural practices. We also did a lot for climate finance in the Western Balkans by setting up the Western Balkans Green Center in 2019, which was providing opportunities for Hungarian-based businesses, science, education centers, and other economic operators to apply for and receive non-reimbursable support in 6 target countries of the Western Balkans till the end of 2023. We also find it extremely important to support climate science. That's why we support voluntarily IPCC on a yearly basis. And last but not least, Hungary submitted its revised national energy and climate strategy, its climate plan in 2024, with gross greenhouse gas emission reduction by at least 50% by 2030 compared to 1990 levels. And to achieve this, a share of at least 30% of renewable energy sources in gross final energy consumption was also set. With that, I thank you for your attention.